Welcome to the Stanislaus County Board of Supervisors meeting. We'll begin this meeting at 6:35. Please stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for the invocation by City Ministry Network Pastor Mike Gunnarsson.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us pray. Our Heavenly Father, I want to thank you for a beautiful day here in Stanislaus County. Thank you for our country and the opportunity to be here tonight and participate in this form of government. I know that not everyone in our county experiences the same level of health, safety, and financial provision. I ask that you would allow each of us in this room to be part of the needs of each citizen being fully met. I pray for peace, health, fulfilling relationships, and financial provision. I pray that you would bless Stanislaus County. I pray for those elected officials who are here tonight. I pray that you would bless their families, businesses, friendships, and health. May each of them fully come to know your love for them. Be with them tonight as they address the issues before them. Give them discernment, wisdom, and boldness to serve our county well. I pray this in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor. All right, we're going to begin our evening tonight with a presentation declaring June 2023 as Portuguese Heritage Month in Stanislaus County. I'd like to call up former District 5 Supervisor Bill Mattis, and he's going to do a short presentation, also name some of those in attendance. Supervisor, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing great, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here tonight. I don't often come to the meetings anymore, but it's great to see all of you because you're doing a fine job for our county, so we really appreciate it. I would like to have I'm kind of the conduit tonight. I'm Portuguese, obviously. My mother came from the mainland. My father's parents came from the Azores, but we have the real leaders are here with me. So I'd like them to just come walk up, stand behind me for now before we take our picture. And we're going to do this quickly because they already told me we only have 5 minutes. So I do want to let you know that the California Portuguese American Coalition gets money from Portugal and other people, and the whole reason for this coalition is to bring Portuguese people into elected office and into places of prominence. And so they work very hard in trying to get people into office. We had a resolution in Sacramento last week. We also Kings County, Tulare County, Fresno County, Madera County, and Merced County. And we appreciate Stanislaus County on honoring Portuguese Heritage Month. I just want to introduce very quickly Dr. Emmanuel Costa is retired professor, Stanislaus State University, board member of the California Portuguese American Coalition. His wife, Albertina Silva Costa, retired teacher. Denise Borges wasn't able to be here. He's a founding director. He had a illness in the family. Dr. Monique Wallace, businesswoman and board member, and also California Portuguese American Coalition board member. Thank you for being here. Marie Kelly, businesswoman and vice chair of the Portuguese Fraternal Society of America. Edwina Azevedo, president of the Portuguese Education Foundation of the Central Valley. They raise a lot of money for education in Portuguese world. She's also a school administrator. Just wanted to make sure you knew she also had a job. And Nelio Pimentel is a businessman. We appreciate you being here with us. Clarissa Azevedo, real estate property management and vice president of Portuguese Education Foundation of Central Valley. And Diana Borges, Gallery Winery Operations Team Lead. Did I get you all? Yeah. These are the real Portuguese leaders. Thank you guys and gals for honoring this group tonight. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely. And so I am going to read the proclamation if you folks want to line up this way, and I think we're going to take a group photo afterwards. But the first Portuguese settlers came to California from the Azores Island in North Atlantic Ocean in the early 19th century. Today, approximately 350,000 Portuguese Americans live in California, most of whom immigrated from the Azores. and there are over 1.5 million Portuguese Americans nationwide, making the United States of America the proud home to one of the largest Portuguese populated areas in the world. Since the 1860s, the Portuguese community has made contributions to the Central Valley, particularly in the dairy industry and agriculture, as well as in technology, the arts, and entrepreneurship. Their integration and their commitment to the American dream is represented by having honorary consulates of Portugal in the San Joaquin Valley and in Southern California. The embodiment of Portuguese Heritage Month celebrates our unique community rooted in perseverance, pride, and deep family ties, along with the values of commitment to tradition, hard work, and building bridges with our communities and the Azores. Therefore, let it be resolved that the Stanislaus County Board of Supervisors does hereby proclaim the month of June 2023 as Portuguese Heritage Month in Stanislaus County.
Thank you all very much. Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it. Thank you for being here. For being here. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hey, well, thank you. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you.
All right. So we are going to be moving on to the public comment period. Public comment is a time for those in attendance to speak on items not related to the agenda. Please state your name for the record. Direct all comments towards the dais, and so that it is fair for every speaker, please keep your comments to the 5-minute time limit. I do have some comment cards. First up, we're going to bring our Director of Parks and Rec, Tara Chumley. Tara, good evening.
Good evening. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Great. Well, I'm Tara Chumley. I'm the Director of Parks and Recreation, and I just want to take a moment to share that we do have our annual fireworks show coming up at Woodward Reservoir on Saturday, July 1st, around 9:30 at night. We've got some changes this year, some exciting changes, I hope. We will be doing pre-sale event tickets, so if you are interested in a day-use only pass, we will have limited pre-sale day use available to purchase in advance. Should be going live on our website tomorrow. There are options to add fees. For instance, if you have a boat, a jet ski, or a dog, you can add that to your day use purchase as well. The ticket is a one-time use, and so when you get checked in, there's a barcode, and if that doesn't work, we have a backup plan. It also guarantees your day use entry, and so if you've ever sat in that long line of traffic and then the gate closed in front of you, you're not getting in. This ticket guarantees you're getting in. So I encourage everybody to get the pre-sales. You can buy your tickets at stancountyparks.com/fireworks. There will be undeveloped camping available on a first-come, first-served basis. We will not be having in and out privileges that day. So if you're camping and you're used to leaving at some point during the fireworks show, and it's only for the July 1st date, which is Saturday, once you're out to get back in, you're getting in that line and you're paying a fee if you can still get back in. Our entrance will close when capacity is reached, and we are going to have some road closure. So keep an eye out on our social media pages and our website for those road closures. We'll have road closures on Dodds, Hines, Dorsey, and Eastman Road, and then they'll be lifted during the fireworks show. We will have one entrance, and that's going to be on 26 Mile Road northbound from Highway 120. So if you're coming the other direction, you are going to need to get in that one single line. There won't be optional lines available. There are some flyers available next to the agendas tonight that gives all this information, and so I hope everybody can come and join us. I personally will be out there directing traffic, so wish me luck. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you, Karen. And best of luck with traffic. All right, our next speaker card is for Mr. Tim Hester. Tim, thank you for being here with us this evening.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. My name is Tim Hester. I'm the General Manager of Recology Blossom Valley Organics North. We operate a compost facility out in Vernalis. We've been out there for about 12 years now. We're very proud members of the ag community, and tonight we want to reinforce that. We developed some really nice products for our farmers in supporting them and getting some good nutrition back in the ground. And to continue on with that, several years ago, Recology developed a scholarship program for local high school kids, seniors, graduates that want to continue their education in the ag industry. So we tonight are going to present with you 5 students that we've picked, coming from all the different districts. And Rocio Garcia, my operations manager, will read the names for you.
Okay, so first off, we have Olivia Valdespino from Patterson High School. Olivia is unable to join us this evening. She has been involved in our local FFA chapter for the past 4 years and is currently serving as president. She will attend Fresno State in the fall and will be studying viticulture. Next up, we have Sofia de Lastra Peter. Sophia was involved in Enoch's FFA club, volunteering at many fundraising activities, and is currently maintaining the school's vegetable garden during the summer. Sophia will be attending UC Davis in the fall and studying animal science. Next up, we have Lou Triller from Davis High School. Lou volunteered for numerous ag activities in school, including the drive-through barbecue and Spooktacular Fall Festival. Lou was also a member of the Ag Mechanics team. Lou will be attending Cal Poly San Luis Obispo in the fall and will be also studying viticulture. Next, we have Logan Ladd from Turlock High School. Logan was involved in his school's FFA chapter, was on the Ag Mechanics team, speech and debate, and numerous sports team. Logan will be attending Cal Poly San Luis Obispo in the fall and studying mechanical engineering. And lastly, we have Jude Wolf from Gregory High School. Jude was the vice president of Gregory's FFA chapter. It was involved in the school's FFA activities throughout the region. Jude will be attending Modesto Junior College in the fall and studying agriculture engineering.
Again, we want to thank you all for letting us have this opportunity. We're very proud of these folks. We love ag. We're our huge ag supporters, and this is the future. So we're just very happy to be part of it. So thank you.
Appreciate it.
We're going to take a photo right here. Everybody, right? Just you guys want to congratulations.
Proud parents, you can get right in the aisle if you want.
Congratulations, guys. Best of luck. All right, continuing with public comment, our next speaker card is for Deborah Harper. Deborah? Good evening. Thank you for being here with us today.
Good evening. My name's Deborah Harper, and I speak very rarely now. This is in memory of my mother who passed away on August 18th, 2021. Thank you. I'm going to read John 3:16 and 17. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. For God sent not his Son into the world to condemn the world, but that the world through him might be saved. So prayerfully, everyone can choose to peacefully coexist with each other from this day forward. Nothing is perfect. If everyone focuses on functioning, things will function through anything that happens. I don't know if anybody knows that, I don't know if everyone knows that on March 26th, we had a wind flow from a hole in the sun. We literally have a hole in the sun, and there was a wind flow that reached the earth and has been affecting things throughout the ongoing moment. There have been multiple earthquakes in California, 2 at the beginning of June in one day, just minutes from each other, from Julian to Santa Barbara. It's like, don't panic. Manage whatever there is to manage. Don't give up and keep going, whatever it is. But when things get awkward, people have to function through everything that could possibly happen in every county, prayerfully and respectfully. I pray that everybody can peacefully manage that. There are 2 movies. 2008, there was a movie called 2012. 2 versions of the movie. 2008 was the subtle version. 2009, they came out with a new 2012. It's not to panic anything, but it just demonstrates how things can happen in an instant and how can we manage everything through it. I've been talking about prayerfully, peacefully coexisting and focusing on functioning. With the wind flow and what the 2012s represent that could happen at any point in life, which is very biblical. But they did it in a secular way, and it's agenda related. But if you just focus on how everyone focused to function together through everything at that would be awesome in our future. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, our next speaker is for Patricia Schaefer. Patricia.
Hello.
Hi, good evening.
I'm up here to talk on behalf of the new California. And I'm going to just do a little bit of Arizona State Senate and what happened there. The purpose prohibits an operating component of a voting system from being used or purchased in Arizona for casting, recording, and tabulating ballots for a federal office unless outlined requirements are met. The background information. All components of a voting system must be certified by the Secretary of State prior to use in any election for federal, state, or county office. The SOS must appoint a 3-member committee to investigate and test various types of vote recording and tabulating machines or devices that may be used for elections. The committee must submit recommendations to the SOS, who makes final adoption of the types, makes, and models of elections, machines, and devices to be certified for use in Arizona. After consultation with the committee, the SOS must adopt standards for the loss of certification for elections, machines, and devices. The SOS may revoke the certification of any voting system or device if the person or firm installs, uses, or allows the use of a voting system or device that is not certified for use or approved for experimental use in Arizona. Or 2, uses or includes hardware, firmware, or software in a version that is not certified for us or approved for experimental use in a certified voting system or device. Elections, machines, and devices may only be used in Arizona at any federal, state, or county office if the machines and devices have been tested and approved by a laboratory that is accredited pursuant to the Federal Help American Vote Act of 2002. There is no anticipated fiscal impact to the state general fund associated with this legislation. I'm going to stop there at this point and say that we are trying in California to go by paper and not have machines. And so someone else may talk on that comes up.
All right, thank you. Our next speaker card is for Melinda Mason. Melinda, good evening.
Hello. Good evening. Hope you're all doing well. And I'll just remind everyone that that was pertaining, I know, to Arizona, so that might be a little confusing for some people that are maybe listening in on Zoom. It may be for you all. But what happened was in the 2020 election, Arizona was called upon to be able to have opportunity to go through their voter rolls and to make certain before that election was certified, and they petitioned Congress for that. And I don't know how many of you are familiar with this. This is a United States Supreme Court Brunson case, and it's coming up this Thursday. I think the fake media is not talking about it, but what it does is it brings to the attention of those who are aware that 388 members of Congress, that would be your House of Representatives and your Senate, refused to allow that process, which is constitutional, to take place. In doing so, they were committing possibly treason against a sitting president. They were absolutely not upholding and defending the Constitution in which they were raised up for that very opportunity.
Ms. Mason, just direct your comments towards us.
I want everybody to understand why it sounds like, why are we talking about Arizona? Because Arizona led to this Supreme Court decision, and this Supreme Court decision is affecting all of us, and the fact that we have allowed combatant enemies like China to be participating in our elections in other countries. We are petitioning Congress, we are petitioning each of you at the county and the state level, and we are telling you that the people that elected you to this office and put you in there that you represent are demanding that we go back to a voter ID for every person that comes to vote, that we use one-day voting, because the Constitution of the United States allows for 1 day of voting, not 1 month, not 2 weeks, not 4 weeks, but 1 day of voting. So we want to go back to that. That's what our Constitution calls for. And our Constitution also says that any machines or any paper, anything pursuant to our elections cannot be made again by a combatant enemy, even if it's something within that system. And we know that has happened. And so we're petitioning every county in the state of California. And probably some of you already know that there are counties who have already given up these machines and are going back to a one-day process that is legal and that is constitutional. So we're asking you as our representatives to go for that on behalf of we the people. And pursuant to that, we are here tonight. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Our next speaker card is for Gloria O'Rourke. I tried. Thank you, Gloria. Hello?
I'm Gloria O'Rourke, and this is Mr. Gibbs.
Mr. Gibbs. Mr. Gibbs,
Mr. Gibbs.
for the record.
For the record. I'm here in support of honest, safe, and fair elections, as brought up by Melinda. I listened to several speakers prior to, I'm going to read a letter, but that went to the County Board of Supervisors, but I listened to several speakers, one being a Ms. Lunt or something before the elections, talking about how safe our elections were and, oh, that these machines are okay. And I personally have 3 friends, I don't have their permission to use their names, so I won't, who went to vote and were told, you already voted. And they said, no, we didn't. We absolutely didn't vote. Could we see the signal? Oh, no, no. No, you can't do that. But you voted. Now, that's only 3 people, but who else did that happen to? That's 3 people I know. So I'm very concerned about these machines. They're unconstitutional, and why we would continue in a community like Modesto to continue using them, I don't understand. So I'm just going to read this, because I'm probably not the best speaker. I'm a county representative of the state of California, a We the People movement for the preservation of the Republic guaranteed to citizens by the U.S. Constitution, Article 4, Section 4. By this letter, I'm notifying all County Board of Supervisors today that they must first and foremost prioritize protecting our national security during any future elections. It is imperative that we comply with implementation of security measures to protect the sovereign right of each eligible citizen to have authentic outcome when casting a vote in our elections. Back in 2017, the U.S. Secretary of Homeland Security issued a statement clearly designating elections infrastructure as a critical infrastructure. Election infrastructure is critical infrastructure for the obvious reason that elections have a major impact on national security. It's vital that the state of California complies with that inherent intent from the federal government and works to ensure a system of cybersecurity and oversight is established within every political subdivision, as far as I'm concerned, especially in Modesto. Every component of the election systems used in our county must have safeguards in place to prevent any attacks which threaten our national security. Secure elections are the protected right for every eligible citizen. It is incumbent in our representatives to exercise their authority to see that no electronic voting system in the county is used as a primary method for counting, tabulating, or verifying federal elections. Unless those systems meet necessary standards of protection, the federal government has made it very clear the election equipment is considered a target by those who want to threaten the safety and security of our country. Electronic voting systems that contain components that are made with parts produced in countries considered adversaries to the United States must never be used as the primary method for conducting our elections in our county, state, or country, but they were. CEO John Paulus is predicting that Dominion will not survive for its use in the 2024 elections due to the scrutiny of their equipment's vulnerabilities to hacking. More alarming is that the components of their system include embedded modems and circuitry on the motherboard the size of a pencil point that is made in China, a nation adversarial to the United States, an obvious breach of security to elections. On March 29, 2023, President Joseph Biden Jr. declared a national emergency pursuant to the International Emergency Economics Act, 50 U.S.C. 1701 et seq. To deal with the unusual and extraordinary threat to national security, foreign policy, and economy of the United States constituted by the increasing prevalence and severity of malicious cyber-enabled activities originating from or directed by persons located in, whole or substantial part outside the United States. These significant malicious cyber-enabled activities continue to pose an unusual, extraordinary threat to national security. Therefore, in accordance with section, time's up?
Yeah, if you can please
Okay,
begin to
so
conclude.
I call upon each board member to act on behalf of the safety and welfare of your citizenry as the representatives who, by oath of office, committed to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States of America. I just ask that you do return to one-day paper ballots. Let us each ensure by presenting proper ID and all of the things that we need to feel that our elections can be honest and secure, and we can have faith in our lawmakers, whether county or above. Thank you very much.
Gloria. Next speaker card is for Ron Mason. And he will be followed by Chris Powers. Ron, good evening.
Good evening. Well, mine's going to be real brief. I'm here with the group here, and I just want to encourage us to do the one-day voting to keep our elections safe and honest for the citizens of Stanislaus County. I feel that it is your responsibility as supervisors within our county to see that the citizens of this county feel that their voting is being counted and the right people are being counted. That would be voter ID or however you think it'd be safe to do it, economical to do it. But I strongly would like to see as just one voter who has a lot of people behind us who recognizes and feel that our election system has been violated. So for the Stanislaus County citizens to feel more secure, we would love to see you stand with other counties who have gone to paper voting, one-day voting. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron. All right, Mr. Powers. Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you for having us. I'm going to continue where others have left off. I call upon each board member to act on behalf of the safety and welfare of your citizenry as the representatives who's by oath of office committed to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States of America and the state of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and stated that you made this obligation freely. Your position requires that you heed the concerns of malicious cyber-enabled activities and recognize the immediate need for security by eliminating the use of voting machines from our elections, starting with the upcoming federal election in 2024. We've been gathering signatures. We don't have them all today, but we will at some point. The signatures for different counties in the area, but for Stanislaus, I'm going to just read what we're gathering for. So Stanislaus County residents demand in-person, one-day paper ballot elections and the elimination of electronic voting devices. To the County Board of Supervisors and the Sheriff, I'm providing the name, address, state, and that I'm saying that no electronic voting machine system and demand paper ballot, hand-counted elections that protect the citizen's right to chain of custody, protecting voting with citizen oversight as follows. Register to vote with photo ID and documentation of residence 30 days prior to any election. Number 2, Photo ID presented at precinct to confirm eligibility to vote prior to the receipt of the ballot. Number 3, in-person voting only with paper ballots with a watermark, only in designated precincts. Number 4, deployed or out-of-country or physically unable to eligible citizens may apply for and vote with approved absentee ballots, like we have been before. Number 5, ballot counting in teams of 2 or more, verifying with public oversight all ballot handling and counting. Number 6, Election Day is a recognized holiday and one day for voting that closes at 8 p.m. with no exceptions. And lastly, ballot handling and counting monitored continuously by surveillance camera recording. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
All right. Our next speaker is Mr. John X. Mataka. And John will be followed by Don Powers. John, good evening.
Good evening, board. My name is John X. Mataka, and I'm with the Grayson Neighborhood Council. I want to briefly talk about an issue that we beat to death before this board and before the whole county. It's the housing issue. I strongly believe that there needs to be a master plan for low and very low-income housing in Stanislaus County. You have master plans for a lot of things, and I think that due to the crisis and the epidemic of housing, that we need a master plan for that. I think we need to look at a land bank to secure land in all parts of the county, not just one particular area like Modesto. I believe that it needs to be, it's apparent that the state is not going to do nothing. The state for 50 years has told the county and the city that they have to provide a certain percentage of low-income and very low-income housing. And in the last 40, 50 years, the county or the city has never met it, and nothing happens. So it's apparent the state's not going to do nothing. So it's up to this board. If you want to make something happen in this county, this board's going to have to do it. So I want to say that it should be mandatory that all residential development, that 25% of the housing be low-income housing, or the developer must provide the land equivalent to this number. Not the money, because the money doesn't work. We need the land, so other people can build it if they don't want to build it in their particular area or whatever. I participated in the county vision plan with a consultant, and there were a lot of good ideas, but I haven't seen anything since. I want to say that I think that there should be an inventory in all current Section 8 and low-income housing developments, whether it's Section 8 or Housing Authority, whatever, weekly, and that should be shared with the vacancies with the people that house people. When I worked in drug and alcohol in the residential program, every day we got an update on how many beds were available throughout the county. Well, the thing with the housing crisis being what it is, there should be a weekly update on where the vacancies are. Do they have apartments in Section 8 that are just sitting there? Do they have it in low-income housing that are just sitting there? So we need to know that. And last but not least, I want to talk about the Crow's Landing Naval Base, the 2030 plan. That community of Crow's Landing, like my community in Grayson, has been exposed to a lot of environmental things. In where I live in Grayson, it was the tire fire and the Covanta waste-to-energy plant and the landfill. And Crow's Landing is right there where the Covanta plant is and where the landfill is. And they have poor water. And so I think it's time for reparations for communities like Crow's Landing. That if you're going to put an experimental hub out there for bioindustry, that community needs, and the whole west side needs to reap some reparations for what you're going to do out there. And we need to know that it's safe, number one, and we need to know that the people there, the water system can be improved, and they can actually get some of those jobs out there, and they can actually get some housing out there, And so, there's a lot of talk about reparations. Well, the west side of Stanislaus County is due some. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John. Don. Don, thank you for being here this evening.
Thank you. No papers, reading off anything. I just want to reiterate what we're wanting for our safe ballots, or safe voting. In 2020, I went to go vote. I had absentee ballot. It was spoiled, so I went to go do a new one. They said just, to cross it out, and I'm like, no, that's not how things go. That's not how we're doing it. And so I had to insist on having it done right. So I just want to reiterate what we want to get back to, the correct way of voting. And just, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Don. All right, our last speaker card is Susanna. I do not have a last name, but Susanna. Susanna, good evening. Thank you for being here.
Hi, good evening. Good evening, board members. My name is Susanna Barajas. The state of California is in a financial and Article 4, Section 4 constitutional default and does not have constitutional standing as a member state in the Union of States called the United States of America. We, the people, as citizens of the United States, living in California, are following the process of West Virginia that successfully restored the Virginia state government after the Wheeling Conventions of 1861. Congress admitted California into the Compact of Statehood within the United States of America in 1850 because their 1849 Constitution, ratified for consideration, guaranteed a Republican form of government. Gavin Newsom has enabled fraudulent election systems and has once again demonstrated why there is no viable government in California under his watch. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, that is all the comment cards I have. So if there are any other members of the public in attendance who would like to speak during public comment, please come forth now. So anyone else have any comments? Okay, seeing none, we will close the public comment period, and we will move on to the consent calendar. We do have some items on consent that are being requested for comment, so we will go ahead and address those now and then take the consent calendar. Should we do a clip with Terry's?
Well, we do have two that the public comment want to,
Okay.
that the public want to comment on. And then we have the two that Terry wants to.
Yeah.
Okay.
If I could, Chance, so the two that I need, the one is B13, which I have a conflict. Pegasus Risk Management is a client of my office's, so I shouldn't be voting on that one out of the abundance of caution. And then I'd just like to pull B12 and just have a report on that one.
Okay.
Thank you.
So should we do the one Terry has to step out for,
Yeah.
and then come back collectively?
We can do that.
Okay, so let's go ahead and do the item 13. Mr. Withrow has left the dais, so we will go ahead and, any comments or questions on item 13 on consent calendar?
Motion to approve B13?
Well, I think we'll open up to the public. Any members of the public wish to comment on this item? Okay, seeing none, we will bring it back for a motion.
Motion for B13.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Supervisor Chiesa, second by Supervisor Graywall. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, passes unanimously. I will ask, there you go. Right on cue, Terry. All right, there we go. So we do have a comment on B11. Mr. Donoso has a comment card on item B11. And also Ms. Martinez has a comment as well, so she'll be after Mr. Donoso.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Kelly?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. You can see we're going to pass the documentation for my presentation in regard to the workforce development. Last month, I was here too, and the same thing. You have to pull out the agenda because it's on the consent item, and that's not supposed to happen because the people have the opportunity or need to have the opportunity to talk about the $7.1 million they're requesting by the director. So we are in that disagreement with that, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. And continue, the board supervisor continue not to answer my letters or what I presented last week you can see I have documentation in regard to the public comment is supposed to be done not under the consent item, where we pull the agenda because we want to have in record that we are talking about regard to the need of public comment before your approval and then send it to the government to sign it. The county council is still not saying nothing. And the other one is in regard to the number 2 is the conflict of interest. If you read carefully the item they present, Mr. Candid, Mr. Manny Grigwell, and the Mr. Terry withdraw have conflict of interest in regard to 20 and 30 proposal recommendation of the programs. And then you have the conflict of interest of the county in regard to the conflict of interest, because last month, Mr. Thomas Bossi, the county, he said, no, he cannot believe the committee have conflict of interest. And now I prove to you that you approve that conflict of interest. So the committee or the CEDC have conflict of interest. And you have many members that are in there in the conflict of interest. Even employees sitting there have conflict of interest. Mr. Chairman and members of the board, one of the issues they're being faced is the board of the workforce development have a conflict of interest too. You have Mr. Manny Grigwell is member of the businessmen, but at the same time is member of board of supervisors. So he approved constantly programs and money to this workforce development. So I'm going to ask the district attorney to investigate, because I know you're not going to do nothing. I bring many times conflict of interest, and the county council refuse to accept it or even to acknowledge. So tired of that, for so many years, we're going to go to the district attorney in the office of the State Department to investigate really is conflict of interest or not, and finally to decide how many agencies in this county, many members and members that receive money sitting there like Mr. David White is a member of the CED, and at the same time is a consultant and receive money. And now he's going to be the main person from the $3 million from the State Department to be the biochemical person in charge of that. So that's another conflict of interest. And members of this board continue to be acting like nothing happened. So Mr. Chairman and members of the board, we're going to move to the next level because you are not going to do nothing. I'm here many times talking about conflict of interest. Even the council, he said, you don't know, you don't have the papers to him to do that. Now you have the papers. So now he can say something or no, but still not going to say nothing, even on the public comment. In the last part, Mr. Chairman, the county continued to refuse to accept the executive order 13166 limiting English proficiency and the executive order 13985. It's still acting like nothing happened. You have a lady that's the coordinator for the race and ethnicity coordination, and still not report nothing to this community, even to the board. So the question is, for how long we going to do that? And you guys still spending money, and that money is supposed to be for low-income families in regard to the COVID-19. The Mexican American was 30% affected by COVID-19 in March 2020. In June was 70% the county. And you still refuse to acknowledge how much money is supposed to be on the services and provide programs and training for that community. You're acting like, no, not too many Mexicans here, a few, but not too many to do something about it. So we're going to go to the next level, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I just had a point of
Oh, go
clarification.
ahead.
Mr. Donoso, you mentioned about going to the, and you're more than welcome to, going to the district attorney's office. You just CC'd the former district
Yes,
attorney.
right, I make my mistakes
Yeah,
here.
you might want to.
So I'm going to go anyway to that.
No, I know. I just want to make sure that you have the right person.
Thank you very much, sir, for the correction.
Thank you, Miguel. All right, next, Ms. Martinez. Debbie, thank you for being here tonight.
My pleasure.
Debbie Martinez, founder of We're La Raza Parents Union, and I'm also chairperson for Stanislaus County California School Choice, Freedom Choice. And Melinda, you and I are going to be talking real soon because I stand on our children's constitutional rights, safe, secure, and peaceful. I should be at Turlock Unified School District tonight fighting their LCAP, but instead, I want to rise above it because like Mr. Donocio just mentioned, I too am going to go to the next level. I sit with California Rural Legal Association's educational liaison. I also sit with the Latino Community Roundtable educational liaison, state and federal, we endorse there. I am no stranger to this podium. I have been coming here for 12 years now. What I'm asking is if we're going to do workforce and we're going to develop workforce for our children that are just exiting high school, how many did not get to exit high school for all the wrong reasons? I was able to help a Middle Eastern get out of a situation that was not his fault. I had to go to Stanislaus County Office of Education. We were able to pull the expulsion. He was able to cross the stage. His mother thanked me. Came from Middle Eastern. I had two come from Mexico. We have a lot of money on the table, and yet our children are not being utilized. What it has become is profit over people. Our children are 10 years from now are going to be homeless because they didn't get that proper education. 10 years ago, I came knocking at this door. I wanted that school to prison pipeline shut down. Our mayor was part of it when we ended up in federal courts in 2018. Now I'm coming to this governing board because we got to do better with our children. County Office of Education Superintendent makes 6 figures, way more than the governor. What happened? Who is allowing for him to develop a bogus military school where our children are not being set up for armed force? They're being set up to take their commands in juvenile hall. So let's take that program, put it next to the PACE program, give us back our facilities so that our disadvantaged population of children that don't migrate into the traditional settings very well, at least let us use those facilities to educate them there. We want our facilities. We want them back. I'm demanding. I stand as one. I represent many. I am in 28 districts, 3 counties. Pulled a lot of lawsuits in each one of those counties, including this one, on unfairness to our children. Constitution's Article 1, subsection 28 says that our children have a right to enter into a school setting that's safe, secure, and peaceful. That's not happening anymore, not here in Stanislaus County. We're sending them home in pine boxes. We're sending them home in the back of police vehicles. Mothers don't have no more rights once they get into juvenile hall. Who's paying attention to all of this? Do they not have constitutions that you guys can go over there and talk to County Board of Education and tell them what's really going on here? Do they not have a right under child abuse, child endangerment, child neglect? And yet we want to pass millions and billions of dollars to give them employment without educating them? How is that possible? This gap needs to be closed. Like Mr. Donocio just said, he's ready to go to the next level. San Joaquin County Office of Education was just investigated by FBI and DA. I'm going to repeat it again because I said it the last time I was here. They need to start paying attention to the funding that these educators are getting with no recognition of any type of accountability when they fail to serve our children and take advantage of our public funding. Somebody needs to close these gaps because these programs are not working for our children, and yet you want to advance them to the workforce. How is that possible? I had a little boy come to me, graduated, crying on my shoulder. I call him a little boy, 24 years old. Can't get a job because he's not past the 8th grade. Who's paying attention? Thank you.
Thank you, Debbie. Okay, yes, we are still on B11. So I will open it up to any additional comments from the public on this item, B11. Yes, sir. Just please come and state your name for the record. Yes. Evelyn, good evening. Hi.
Buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Jaime Calderón, campesino y poeta.
Good afternoon, it's Jaime Calderon. He's works for agriculture and he's a poet.
Recientemente tuve dos experiencias con agencias supuestamente que te ayudan a conseguir trabajo.
Evelyn, make sure he's speaking into the mic, please.
Recently, he's had 2 experiences where he went through 2 agency or organizations that are supposed to help him get a job.
CBOC and workforce.
CVOC and workforce.
Supuestamente nos ayudan a nosotros, los de bajos recursos, soy campesino, a conseguir un diploma, a conseguir un mejor trabajo, pero con la condición de que el curso dura 5 meses y tenemos que dejar de trabajar.
So supposedly they help him find a job and get a degree, and in 5 months he'll be able to get a job and start going to school.
Entonces, ¿cómo pretenden que nosotros con un sueldo mínimo nos mantengamos 5 meses sin trabajar para tomar el curso?
So in order to take this course, you have to have full-time schooling, and you can't be working at the same time. So how are we supposed to get that degree?
Aparte, para los trámites de 1 mes, 2 meses, no sé, se convierte en 7 meses, casi el año. Yo creo que
So during that time, it can turn into 7 months, 8 months. During that time, he wants to see.
Yo creo que nosotros estamos en el sistema con el nombre y el número de seguro, automáticamente aparecemos en el sistema del gobierno, nos hacen hacer trámites innecesarios.
So with that, whenever they go up there and they show the number, they instantly know that, I'm guessing he's not from here, que son inmigrante, de campesino, and that's already in the system.
Seguro social. Entonces, para mí no es una ayuda, porque ¿de qué nos vamos a mantener? ¿Qué vamos a comer mientras hacemos el curso?
So for me, that's no help. What are we supposed to do with no job? What are we supposed to eat in order to take this course? It can't happen because I'm not able to do that.
Es todo. Muchas gracias.
That's everything. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, do any other members of the public wish to comment on this item? Martha? Good evening, Martha.
Good evening. My name is Martha. My comment is there's a lot of people that they don't have no respect. There's a lot of person that they don't respect us. First, from work, they have to we have to work more, and they don't pay us what we have to do. Overtime, you know, when you work overtime, they don't pay you overtime. Why? Because they're illegal. So that I think so that's no fair. It's not really fair because other persons, they do pay them overtime. So this person, she had to leave the job 5-7 years because the owner of the store, he was always yelling at her, cussing at her, and saying a lot of stuff that is not right. So I'm just saying, why do we have to put up with this? Why do we have to put up with all this? What do you call it? Discrimination. That's not right. because we're good workers. There's a lot of good workers. And this lady, she has 4 kids, and she had to support her kids. So there's another problem that she had to go and find another job, but there isn't no jobs. She had to move from her house where she was because she couldn't pay the rent. So now this people is going to go homeless. Why? Because nobody will help. I had to find a house also myself because I had to live where I'm living because they need the house. So I went to go see a house, and it was $1,700. Where in the world I'm going to pay that money? There isn't any. I can't. I don't have that money. So, I mean, how in the world people can pay that money? How can we help other people if we can't even help ourselves? There's no way we can. There's no way. I don't know how. I don't know if you guys can help us, but, you know, I'm listening a lot that there's no help. There's $1,000 for 2 rooms, 1 bathroom, the kitchen, and the living room. $2,000. From people from the fields, they can't pay that money. Not when they have kids, not when they have family. There's no way. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Martha. Anyone else from the public wish to comment on this item?
No, but I'm going to get my paper pens.
Okay.
I forgot.
Okay, seeing no more comments, we will bring it back to the board for action on B11.
I'll make a motion to approve B11.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Supervisor Withrow, a second by Supervisor Condit. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, passes unanimously 5-0. All right, and I know Terry wanted to comment on B12.
Yeah, I think Tony's going to come up and just do a little presentation. I just think this is just kind of an important item that I just was kind of buried in our consent calendar, and I just think it'd be good just to have a little explanation of the $5.6 million that we've been awarded here and what we're going to do with it. Thanks,
Thank
Tony.
you. Good evening, Chairman Condon, members of the board, CEO Hayes, and County Council Bose. Thank you for the opportunity. This item is regarding the AB 172 that was passed by the voters in 2021, which basically to fund community care preservation and expansion. This is as a result of a lot of adult residential care facilities as well as residential facilities that take care of elderly were closing due to lack of funding across California because of the fact that a lot of them were serving individuals who were recipients of SSI, and generally that was type of a placement that those facilities were not able to actually survive with the funding with. Their cost was a lot higher than the funding that we're receiving to care for these individuals. So we started seeing a lot of these facilities kind of drop out and close because of those. A lot of them also were aged and were closing down because they had no funding or ways to do repairs or expand to the code. So there was a lot of advocacy done around 2018 and on by county behavioral health directors as well as CSAC and other agencies, which it resulted in an assembly bill which was passed. So basically, this is an opportunity where our county BHRS received an award for about $5.6 million. This funding will be allocated into 2 parts for 2 reasons. One, to provide the operating subsidies to these facilities. Secondly, to provide some funds for capital projects, repairs, and any type of expansions that these facilities in our county would require. Now, the first component, the operating subsidies, are allocated about $1.5 million, and these have to be obligated by June of 2027 and liquidated by June 30th of 2029. And then, of course, the second for the capital projects, that's about $4.1 million to be obligated again by June of 2024 and liquidated by December of 2026. So this is a great opportunity. We have about 94 adult residential care facilities in our county that would qualify in that component, and also about 113 residential care facilities that care for elderly. The qualification would have to be that individual facilities are receiving individuals who are recipients of SSI, and BHRS has about 200 clients in adult residential facilities currently that are being served by facilities in our county. So that's kind of the highlight of that. There'll be a process. There'll be a committee that will be working with the community by various ways to inform these facilities of these opportunities that are out there. The committee consists of both community members and staff from various county departments, and we will make sure that individual facilities are accessed by various means, and there will be informational meetings to advise and inform the facilities of what they need to do to qualify, or what are the steps to submit and withdraw these funds.
Okay, Tony, thank you for saying that. And I just want to, I always like to get on my high horse every opportunity I can with regard to our individuals out there on the streets with serious mental illness or substance use disorders. And these facilities are essential in our battle to try to get these individuals off the streets and into facilities and into care and better, just to get these individuals better and to literally to save their lives. And as we can continue down the path of being one of the pilot counties of the 8 counties, I think now, that are pilot counties of the 58 here in our state, to be part of this CARES Act, which is Community Assistance Recovery and Empowerment. Is that right? I think that's right. That was passed, and as we move forward to go on live on this thing in October, I think October 1 we go live, we're going to need these facilities, because part of this CARES Act is individuals who are going to be referred and go through the system, the court system, and through our process. They're going to need facilities to be placed in to get services. And so this is just crucial that we have these facilities here in our county. And I know we send people out of our county to other facilities, but it sounds like from a meeting that we had earlier this morning, update on the CARES Act, that we're really making progress, I think, across the state, basically. It sounds like it. Maybe it's too early to say that, but we are starting to get more beds for individuals, and then we will desperately need them as we implement this CARES Act. So anyway, just something that's like buried in the agenda that I wanted to pull out and say it's a critical part of as we move forward to try to get these individuals off the streets into services and save their lives.
And that's a great point, Supervisor Woodrow, through the chair. I think that we did see variations of individuals who went into homelessness who were previously residing. Not all were mentally ill individuals. There was a large number that really were not connected to any resources or services because they did not need it except the placement. However, when the facilities closed, those were some of the individuals who ended up becoming homeless. For the majority of those individuals that were served by any kind of entity or county provider or other agencies, prior to closure, those agencies work with community care licensing and the facilities to make sure that these individuals don't end up on streets. But we definitely did see some who were kind of not receiving any resources that did not need it became homeless. So definitely we need these facilities as another level of care in our community. And with reference to the CARE Corps and CARE Act, we have actually worked on different layers of housing that we foresee will be needed for our community here.
All right. That's it. Thanks, Tony.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Do any members of the public wish to comment on this item? Ms. Harper.
Prayerfully and respectfully, there's a tremendous amount of manipulation. Homeless people are not out there because they're incompetent. A lot of areas, they're being torn down. I've been trying to build community. I mean, I am a very peaceful, reasonable person, and I can coordinate a lot of things in a very short time. My physical health care has been neglected. I've been bounced around, kicked down, blocked. I mean, I was gone for a week. I went out of town just to be able to breathe and function without any hassles for a week. The minute my foot hit the ground in Stanislaus County, I was 602'd, falsely 602'd at the Target store. I peacefully and reasonably function, and people want to make me look bad and feel bad for peacefully and reasonably functioning. And that's this county. And it's, you know, there are varying levels of anything. It's not just about mental health. I don't have a mental health symptom. I'm managing a tremendous amount of fraudulent information and false information. And it's just not functional. That's why I keep saying if people focus on functioning instead of doing their drama and pointing fingers, TV show Justice, episode 7. I just sent the text out on that. It's a case about two guys who were friends for years, and how people were manipulating them to point fingers at each other. That's what's going on in this county. It happens everywhere. I mean, it's just not just this county. It's prayerfully and respectfully, man. You want to hold your index finger across your mouth and say shush everywhere, but nobody wants to function. You don't want to mention things, but everybody wants to gossip about it everywhere. And you manipulate. I peacefully and reasonably walk this planet. Somebody has used witchcraft on me practically every day since my mother passed away, Martha Harper, in 2021. Nobody is managing the witchcraft. Nobody is managing any of the, I mean, I had 3 police officers arrive at Target when I was peacefully and reasonably functioning while some other woman was screaming and yelling at the top of her lungs, calling the police on me. There's a code, a penal code for false calls. There's a penal code for false police information. There's a penal code for, but nobody's using it. Just Cause TV show Just Cause episode 3, how it shows how decorated officers manipulated people. I mean, we have to do something other than talk about facilities. When we get the facilities, we have to talk about how we can actually prayerfully function in those facilities. It's prayerful. Thank you.
Thank you, Deborah. Do any other members of the public wish to comment on this item? Okay, seeing none, I'll bring it back to the board for action.
Okay, I will make a motion to approve all staff recommendations for item B12.
We have a motion by Supervisor Withrow, a second by Supervisor Graywall. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, passes unanimously 5-0. All right, we will be moving on. I know Tom has to comment on D1.
Yes, item 6D1. This gets a little bit complicated, so hopefully I can speak intelligently about it. So item 6D1 is a item where in November we adopted an ordinance that would change the county's building standards code so that we could meet local climatic and geographic conditions. And then what we do with that ordinance is we send it up to the state, the state Building Standards Commission, and they review that. In their review, they found that we had not made the correct findings, so they sent it back to us, and we prepared an ordinance that you got last Friday in your materials, so that we could meet that requirement. As I was reviewing that proposed ordinance, I found that there were some non-substantive errors in that ordinance, and I have fixed those, and they are the new proposed ordinances in front of you tonight. So with that, if there are not any questions, we can go out for public comment on it and then have our motion.
Any questions or comments by board members? Okay, seeing none, we will open it up to the public. Do any members of the public wish to comment on this item? Okay, seeing none, we will bring it back to the board, and it is a 4/5 vote.
Motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion by Supervisor Condit, second by Supervisor Graywall. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those,
I'd just like to clarify, are we voting to amend that ordinance as part of the motion?
Yes.
okay. So this is Supervisor Condit made a motion, Supervisor Graywall made a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, passes unanimously 5-0. All right, and then we will look for a motion on the rest of the consent calendar. So I will, unless there's any members of the public wish to comment on any other items on consent. Okay, I will bring it back to the board for a action.
I will make a motion to approve the rest of the consent calendar. I also want to acknowledge Ryan Taylor, who's going to be appointed if we pass this resolution. Just raise your hand. It's the Mosquito Abatement District.
Okay, we have a motion.
Second.
We have a motion by Supervisor Chiesa, second by Supervisor Condit. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, passes 5-0. Congratulations, Ryan. Okay, we're going to make a slight modification to the agenda and move item 9-1, which is discussion item, up in front of item 7. So we will be having a presentation, PowerPoint presentation by Ruben Imperial regarding the approval to adopt a resolution to support the California State Association of Counties at-home comprehensive plan to address homelessness. Ruben?
Thank you. Ruben Imperial, Assistant Executive Officer with the county. Good evening, Chairman Condit, Board of Supervisors, CEO Hayes, and Council Bose. I'm accompanied by Mr. Canas, the association's Chief Executive Officer, who will provide a report on the at-home plan. Staff is recommending approval of the resolution supporting the at-home plan, joining a growing number of counties that are committed to addressing the homeless crisis within our state by defining clear lines of responsibility, accountability, and sustainability amongst the federal, state, and local government agencies. And with that, Mr. Canas.
Thank you very much, Mr. Imperial. I appreciate that. Good evening to you all. It's great to be with you this evening. I first want to thank Supervisor Chiesa, who serves as our treasurer on behalf of all counties in the state, and is, of course, a past president of CSAC. I also want to thank your CEO, Mr. Hayes, for being part of this effort. One of the places that we came to learn as we were crafting this at-home plan is here. And we came here because there's incredible leadership in Stanislaus County around homelessness, and because this is a county that is not afraid to try something new and different and innovative, and we needed to have that at our fingertips as we were crafting what the right approach to homelessness should look like. And so we began almost a year ago, and we started in a place of frustration. Frustration in that there had been some investments on homelessness for a few years, that there is great intent in every direction in communities and at the state level, and yet there is not more progress than what folks, there's insufficient progress that is happening overall. And so we posed a question to ourselves, which is why? And it turns out there is absolutely no system to address homelessness in California. I'm going to say that again because it's true. There is no system to address homelessness in California. In fact, there's actually no system to address homelessness in any state in the country. And that needs to change. And ultimately, at its core, that's what At Home is all about. So we started in a place where there's nowhere in statute where you will find state is responsible for X, counties are responsible for Y, cities are responsible for Z, and others are involved in the community. That does not exist, and it must exist in order to have true accountability and progress on this issue. And so that's where we began on this. We looked at, we surveyed every county in the state about what is working, what is not working, where are there barriers to make more significant progress, where are there areas where too many programs are stacked on top of each other, all with differing rules that compete, as opposed to the right flexible tools authority and resources locally within communities, and how can we craft a plan that is comprehensive in nature and that outlines a series of policy recommendations that empower communities to make progress. At the same time, there's an ongoing commitment of the state, which is its share of the overall commitment and responsibility. So what emerged from that is, what emerged was at home. Accountability, defining who's responsible for what, aligned to resources, aligned to authority, aligned to real accountability. Transparency, which is about data. It's about understanding what is working and what is not working and course correcting. It's about housing. In this case, that's relevant to shelters, to transitional housing, and permanent supportive housing. Outreach, which is about two things. One, it's the emergency response system that comes into place when someone falls into homelessness. And second, it's about ensuring that there's a sufficient workforce in both the public and the private sectors in order to do the work. And currently, there's a severe shortage of behavioral health and social workers in California. It's true across the country as well, and that needs to be addressed. Mitigation is about the health and human services responsibilities that counties carry out on behalf of the state and federal governments. We need to have a robust safety net system that works for folks in California. And then finally, economic opportunity, pathways out of poverty, pathways out of homelessness, as well as recognizing there are some individuals who are so severely disabled that they're unlikely to become self-sufficient, and we need to address that. Ultimately, there are many, many dozens of recommendations throughout all of this, and I'm going to focus just in the accountability area because it's the one thing that is uniquely different in this plan, which is defining who should be doing what. And so we are specifically recommending there be one countywide or regional plan, clear and measurable outcomes about what it is that we're trying to achieve. That the funds would come from the state and flow through that plan, one fiscal agent. Currently, dollars flow in lots of different directions, and they have absolutely no relationship to who's doing what in the community, and that doesn't make any sense. And so we need to have the two things aligned. And then finally, just recognizing that if we're going to have true public accountability, it resides with cities and counties. When that's where folks show up when they're frustrated around homelessness, they come into these chambers, whether it's the city or the county, and so that's where ultimately the authority and the resources need to begin, and then dollars should be allocated based upon who's doing what within the community. And so we go to a place of having clearly defined roles and responsibilities. So let me talk about cities for just a second. We're recommending cities be responsible in exchange for receiving homelessness funding, be responsible for siting and doing the administrative operations of shelters, siting transitional housing and permanent supportive housing, doing encampment cleanup and sanitation work in the community. Counties would be responsible for all those same things in the unincorporated area and delivering health and human services to the population that is homeless throughout the whole county, so certainly in the incorporated areas as well. In terms of encampment outreach, we leave that open because it varies from place to place. In some counties, or in some communities, it is the county best equipped to do that. In some places, it's the city. In some cases, it's the health plan, as is the case up in Sacramento. And so it varies from place to place, and it is local communities who are best equipped to be able to navigate through that. From a state perspective, there must be ongoing funding. We cannot make progress paying our bills in our families with one-time money. We need ongoing funding in order to meet our family priorities. The same is true with homelessness. If there is not ongoing funding, there will not be ongoing progress. And so part of the commitment of the state in order for this to work is that the state would be investing on an ongoing basis. Dollars then locally would flow through this unified plan, and they would go out to the entities that are doing the work. So if the county's doing half the work, the county receives half the funding. If it's the continuum of care doing half the work, then they would receive half the funding. Maximum local flexibility is paramount because what works in Stanislaus may not work in Alpine, may not work in LA, may not work in Ventura. And so you need to have the flexibility to do things in a way that makes sense to you. We have a minimum, recommended minimum county amount that is not relevant for Stanislaus, given your size, but we also want to encourage success. In the probation world, there's a thing called SB 678, performance incentive dollars, and we want to model that for when you are achieving your goals. If you are working towards reducing homelessness, say 20% over a 3-year period, and you do it in 2 instead of 3, you should be rewarded for that. Under the current system, and I'll use Monterey County as an example, Monterey County reduced their point-in-time count 15% year over year. That's awesome. We should celebrate. And in exchange, they got a $1.7 million reduction, which funded some of the solutions, and they're now going the other way. And so there needs to be a smarter approach that recognizes performance and funds it when it occurs, so that there's not a cliff that happens at the end of it. That's the core of the accountability pillar. There are dozens and dozens of other recommendations, and they're all on our website, counties.org. Folks can see them there. We are building a very broad and large coalition. 33 counties have formally endorsed. Many others are in the process of getting to their boards. And our coalition includes California Chamber of Commerce, the Economic Roundtable, multiple business councils. It includes a church network. It includes a whole host of folks all up and down the state. And that is relevant because there's a demand and a need to make change on homelessness and to ensure that there's an ongoing structure that is workable and it empowers communities. Ultimately, what we are seeking is endorsement of this plan as we continue to build this broad coalition. As I sit here tonight, literally at 8:02 p.m., my team, your team at CSAC, is continuing to work with the governor's office and the legislature on language that we have crafted that would implement what I just walked through. We are seeking to do it linked to the state budget, and so there's a relatively short timeline in order to accomplish that. And we are working mightily to make that happen. This is where your voice is so important in terms of having that strong county family voice, and it's the whole county family that is on board with this. We've worked closely with our colleagues at the rural county representatives of California, the urban counties of California, and all the statewide department disciplines, the Sheriff's Association, Probation Association, Behavioral Health, the Public Guardians, and on and on and on, because there is a demand for change to happen in a way that makes sense. We've made a fair amount of progress, but it's not done, and it's never done until it's written in statute, which is, of course, what we're seeking to do. And we're also seeking to do it with a 3-year planning cycle aligned to a 3-year funding cycle instead of the 1-year cycles that have existed thus far. I am happy to engage in any dialogue that you may wish to have around this, and with that, I would hand it back to you, Supervisor Condit.
All right, thank you. Jody?
So I would actually like to say a couple of words here to wrap this up. And for those of you who are hearing this for the first time, appreciate you listening to today's presentation. First thing I want to do is thank Graham for being here. Graham has been all over the state of California sharing this message. First, building the message and building what would a plan look like on behalf of all, not just counties, but local governments throughout California, and then being able to go around the entire state personally delivering the message. There's a lot of finger pointing that goes on in Sacramento related to homelessness, and it's very frustrating. So at the local level, we spend all of our time just trying to say, okay, what are the resources we have? What's the best possible way we can activate and program our resources to address the issues here locally, and try not to get caught up too much in what's happening in Sacramento. However, CSAC, through Graham's leadership, took this on this year. And there was a recognition that there is no plan in Sacramento to address homelessness as a state. So CSAC went ahead and said then counties will move forward and build a plan. They built a homeless policy strategic work group. They invited Stanislaus to participate in that work group. So we were privileged to have an opportunity to weigh in very early on in this process. Graham brought a team here to Stanislaus and said, what are your best ideas? What are your thoughts, and what would you do? So we drew it all out on a whiteboard, handed it over, and said, good luck, we wish you well. We're very, very impressed that they've been able to activate a plan that really resembles the needs of most counties. You can't be, there's 58 different counties the group is working for. So their ability to really represent as many counties as possible and to hit on most of our needs, our core needs are all built into this plan. And again, it's open for refinement in the future, maybe other partners with cities or others that have things they can do to improve. But what CSAC has done here is they have built the single plan that's in Sacramento right now to try to address homelessness across the entire state the best we possibly can. So for that, we're very, very thankful. I want to share my appreciation with you personally, Grant. Appreciate you being here this evening. I know you have other stuff going on in Sacramento, and to prioritize us, we very much appreciate that. I know we're going to go out for public comment and board comment as well, but I wanted to say those words before we went on. And I also have to acknowledge that we have one staff recommendation this evening, and our staff recommendation is to adopt a resolution to support the California State Association Counties Accountability, Transparency, Housing, Outreach, Mitigation, and Economic Opportunity, or the at-home comprehensive plan to address homelessness. That's our one staff recommendation this evening. Thank you.
Do any members of the board have a comment?
I would love to comment. So it's really interesting when Graham wanted to take this on and seeing, this is probably the most difficult issue of our times, dealing with homelessness. Graham wanted to take it on. He's got 296 bosses. He's got 58 CAOs and hundreds of people that are involved, and everyone has great ideas. Something's working in their county, whether it's really working or whether it's not. Everyone thinks they're spending the dollar correctly. And as the CEO talked about, he's really put the time and effort with his team. Keely Bossler, who's with the former administration, has been very helpful. But coming up with the at-home, it was a nice acronym, but the accountability and the ongoing funding help take care of the other issues that are in the at-home, the transparency, the housing, some of the other components. And without it, it's very difficult. Putting your marker out there and saying, we're going to be responsible for reducing the numbers if you give us this amount of money is gutsy. It's, I can come up with a lot of words. Some of them I can't even use up here. But I would agree. It's finally a blueprint and a path. And again, Stanislaus County's never been afraid to fail. And we do things what we think's right, and if it doesn't, we retool and redirect. And I think this is a fantastic plan from the CSAC perspective. I'm just lucky enough to sit on CSAC, our county team of Ruben, the senior leadership team, but Ruben's taken a very prominent role along with the CEO. And then from our board perspective, Terry Withrow has done all things homelessness. He's been involved for many, many years. Again, although he said my name, he should be really saying your name, because any good idea I have at CSAC comes because of our senior leadership team. All the good ideas have come from other people. So just great work. I'm excited to adopt this when the time comes.
Absolutely. Anyone else, Terry?
Yeah, Graham, thank you for being here. I appreciate you, and I know it's the time and effort you've done, and I do support this, what you're doing here and what CSAC's trying to do here. And I don't want to be the buzzkill here, but I'm just going to go ahead and say things that I'm concerned about. Like Vito said, how many? 296? 296 bosses. Okay, so this is just one of the bosses. Tough. You're going to have to listen to. Sorry, tonight.
I look forward to it.
Yeah. So again, I appreciate everything you're doing. But it seems like we're always just, this is about funding, right? We're trying to chase the funding. We're trying to make sure we get a consistent funding and a consistent plan towards our approach towards homelessness. But it seems like this is, and I'm starting to sound like Jim DeMartini a little bit here. This has become an industry. The homelessness situation in California has become an industry. We have so many different departments and NGOs that are out just working on and all doing their own thing, right? And I know this is an effort to try to get a more consistent. I think we so often, and this comes from the state of California. I think this whole problem began back with AB 109 and when we emptied out our jails, and we have individuals with serious mental illness and substance use disorders that hit our streets. literally hit our streets because we had to enter out our prisons, I'm sorry, bring them back to our jails. And so then we ended up with this unbelievable explosion of homelessness in California. At least I know that's what's happened here in California. I'm not, as far as familiar with all the other states. And then we start to try to find ways to solve it, and it became, we just need more housing. And homelessness and housing are two separate issues. We have a housing shortage. There's no question of that. And even as I look at the acronym you have here for housing, it's shortage of housing in California, especially affordable housing to support aged, disabled, and very low-income residents. That's a separate thing from our individuals who are on the street with serious drug and alcohol problems and serious mental illness. Those are two different things. We do have a housing problem, and we do need housing for individuals that are disabled and very low-income residents. But I would make the argument that the majority of our homeless on the street are not those individuals, that they're people with serious drug and alcohol and mental health issues, and that's why they're out there. And as we've done all we can here in our county, at least I know, to address these issues, what we're left with now to the individuals who maybe fit into these categories of down on their luck, shortage of housing, can't afford housing, as we've talked about, I think we're doing all we can to address that, and a lot of those individuals don't end up on the street. They end up living with somebody else. They end up in situations that aren't their own housing, and that is a problem that we need to work on. But the individuals who are on the street, what we're left with now are individuals with these serious issues, and until we start to just figure out a way, the CARE Act is one way that we're finally California started to recognize that. The governor, recognize that we need to do something with these individuals with severe mental illness and involuntarily, to some extent, take them off the streets. We need to do that for these individuals. We need to get them off the streets, and it's to a point now where they're not going to voluntarily do it. These individuals don't even know that they're on the streets and homeless with the severe mental illness or the substance use disorder. Their issues are so severe that they don't know that. And so this is great, that we're doing this. I appreciate all the efforts, and I totally appreciate a coordinated effort, and this is the plan for homelessness in California. That is great, but until we further recognize that we are going to have to start to involuntarily get these individuals off the street to save their lives and to make all of our lives better that have to deal with them as we watch them die on the streets, we're not going to get anywhere. So again, I continue to say this, and I know these guys are tired of hearing it, but this is 7 years of me being out in the gutters, with these individuals, watching our county work like dogs to try to get these people, off the streets and into services, and services is the key. So, sorry, I just have to get that off my chest, Graham. And so I appreciate what you're doing, and I appreciate what all the counties are doing and what CSAC is doing. Very much appreciate that. But we still have a long ways to go to get to the point where we just recognize what the underlying issue is for what's left on the street right now and what's going on in these large cities. And until we do that, and to get these people into services, and like I said, it's going to have to be involuntarily, because most of them don't even realize that, what's going on in their lives. And I would make the argument that the individuals that we can get services to, we can help them with their mental health issues, we can help them with their recovery for their addictions. Their families, a lot of their families will take them back in. A lot of their friends will take them in and help them, like we all do for individuals that don't have these issues. They're not stealing from us when we are helping them in our houses. We're not afraid of them. So I would make the argument that a lot of the housing issues for the homeless would get better to the extent they get better. Once they get better, then I think it'd be easier for them to find housing and for others to help them get housed. So. And I know that's not true for everybody, because a lot of these individuals have experienced severe trauma that got them to that place, and a lot of that came from their families, So that's the last place we want them to go back to. But it's again, very complicated issue. I just wish that we could more look at the elephant in the room and say, we have got to get these individuals off the street, whether they like it or not, and get them into services and start that process. And it seems like we always are dancing around the thing, and I appreciate you trying to line up the funding and to get a consistent program in place, but I would love to see us really take this on And we have all kinds of people who would fight us. Anytime you talk about involuntarily taking somebody off the streets, you know, the sky is falling, but it's literally about saving lives. And so, okay, I'm done. Thanks, Graham, for being here.
The world around that, I think, is certainly changing and evolving. I really appreciate your comments, Supervisor Withrow. A couple of points, which, of course, you're one of the 8 care court counties. You just talked about that right before I walked up here, and so that is certainly moving forward. Part of the genesis of this is about getting everyone in their own lane. Too often, the state gets into the how lane, and that's not their place. The state's place is about what? What is it that we're trying to accomplish, and who does the work? Once that's defined, which is what we're proposing, it is then communities that figure out how. And so you get the tools, and the way what it looks like here in Stanislaus is probably different than somewhere else. And that's okay, because your community is different. And we're trying to empower that. We're also trying to move on from what I think got outed once money started to flow, which is the number one determinant of success around homelessness has nothing to do with money. Money's relevant, it always is. But the number one determinant is everyone moving in the same direction together? And actually, you're one of the communities that's done the best job around that in the creation of your SHA and pulling folks together and trying to figure out how to pool resources as best as possible and ensure folks are moving in the same direction. That needs to be instituted to a much greater degree at the same time that the state is kept out. Because I think about Santa Cruz County, they have a rapid rehousing program that requires 10 different funding sources, all 6 different state departments. They all have different reporting requirements. That's one program. And so for them, they're chasing rules that are completely irrelevant to actually performing the work. They're spending so much time hiring accountants and writing reports that they can't deliver the services or actually house more people that, but they have where the resources would be available if they have the flexibility, and that needs to be changed. Just like empowering your community to address populations in a way that makes sense in your community so that you're protecting the ability of someone to have a successful life. That same thing is true. So we're trying to flip it to some degree, and we're doing that because this is bottom up. I mean, it has a CSAC name on it, but we're just a steward. This is a all-county family effort, and it came from the bottom up because it's the only way you can do it right. It doesn't address all the issues, that is true. But it attempts to create the right framework so that success can be self-determined locally as opposed to being truncated by a model that doesn't work anywhere.
All right, if there are no more questions or comments, we will open up to the public. All right, so we'll open up to the public. Do any members of the public wish to comment on this item? Okay, seeing none, we'll bring it back to the board. And I do want to thank you, Graham, for your leadership on this, taking initiative. You've done a great job through CSAC. We applaud your efforts. We look forward to working with you on this. And like you said, this is from the bottom up, and I think it's going to really make a great impact for those who are desperately in need for services. So thank you again for everything you're doing.
Certainly.
I'll entertain a motion.
And I'll make that motion. Thank you, Chair, for moving this item up because I know you have a drive.
Yeah.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Supervisor Chiesa and a second by Supervisor Graywall. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, passes unanimously 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well,
You can gavel out and gavel in as
Okay.
in-home supportive services public authority.
okay, so we are going to be gaveling out and then gaveling in as the in-home supportive service public authority. So we need to do a call to order. And I guess we have a consent calendar. We need approval of the minutes from the February 14, 2023 meeting.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Supervisor Condit, second by Supervisor Withrow. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, all those opposed? All right, passes unanimously. Guess that's a 4-0-1. All right, and then we will move on to the approval to execute the sole source agreements between the In-Home Supportive Services Public Authority and the UTW and California Independent Provider Training Center.
So that was also intended to be on that consent calendar. It's not a presentation item, but you could take a separate motion to make sure we've captured that.
Okay, and does this require public comment, or?
We have a public forum right after that item.
Okay, got it. Okay.
I'll defer to council just to see, do we need to take a separate
No,
public
just-
comment?
Since you opened it up, since you
Yeah.
opened it up, we should go ahead.
Okay, well, we will do that. So do any members of the board wish to comment on this item? Okay, seeing none, we'll open it up to public comment. Do any members of the public wish to comment on this item? Okay, seeing none, we'll bring it back to the board for action. Okay, we have a motion by Supervisor Graybill.
Second.
Second by Supervisor Withrow. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, passes unanimously 5-0. Okay, public forum, we have none, and then we will go ahead and adjourn. And we will reconvene the Stanislaus County Board of Supervisors meeting. Okay, moving on to public hearings. We have a public hearing and a presentation by Will Richards and Fidelis Gaines. And this is in regards to consider setting base rates for Stanislaus County franchise maximum solid waste collection services. Good evening. Rob.
Well, good evening, Chairman Condit, Honorable Board, CEO Hayes, Council Bose, Rob Koslevy with Environmental Resources. The item before you today is a cost-based adjustment for our franchise solid waste haulers. We have our solid waste managers, Will Richards and Fidelis Gaines, to present these changes in more detail. If there's any questions or needed clarification at the end of the presentation, staff will be available. So with that said, Fidelis and Will.
All right. Good evening, Chairman, members of the board, CEO Hayes, and County Council Bose. My name is Will Richards, the Solid Waste Manager for the county. This evening, the Department of Environmental Resources is proposing to set the new base rates for franchise waste and recycling collection services for the unincorporated areas of the county. On the screen, you'll see a franchise area map that represents the 4 service areas that are served by the 3 haulers, Bertolotti, Jilton, and Turlock Scavenger. And those areas are comprised of a mixture of residential, commercial, and drop box customers. The haulers receive exclusive rights to the residential and commercial accounts in those respective areas in exchange for a franchise fee. The county retains the ability to regulate the haulers and set the maximum rates that they can charge. In November 2008, the board approved the current rate adjustment process. The adjustment to the rates is determined using one of 2 methodologies: the cost-based adjustment, which we are proposing today, and the index-based adjustment, which for the preceding 4 years will adjust the base rate by various price indices. This year's proposal will establish a new set of base rates that will be adjusted by those price indices for the next 4 years. So moving on to our residential rates, of the approximately 26,000 residential accounts, about 45% will see 9.98% increase, 21% will see an 8.84% increase. 21% will see an 8.84% increase, 28% will see a 5% increase, and 6% will see a 4.7% decrease. The rates shown on the screen are the most common residential rates for the SB 1383 exempt areas. These residents receive 196-gallon cart for all waste materials. The adjustments range from a decrease of $1.20 in Area 4 to an increase of $2.92 in Area 1. The rates shown here are the most common residential rates for the areas that are required to subscribe to SB 1383 service. These residents receive a combination of 96-gallon carts for garbage, recycling, and organic materials. The adjustments range from a decrease of $2.61 in Area 4 to an increase of $4.56 in Area 1. Moving on to the commercial side of things, of the approximately 5,000 commercial customers that we have, about 47% will see a 9.8% increase, 20% will see an 8.84% increase, 22% will see a 5% increase, and 12% will see about 4.7% decrease. The rates on the presentation are for the most common commercial service of 2-yard bins picked up once per week for the SB 1383 exempt areas. The adjustments range from a decrease of $4.27 in Area 4 to an increase of $10.64 in Area 1. The rates on this screen show for the most common commercial service in SB 1383 required areas. Commercial customers in these areas receive recycling services in addition to their 2-yard bin. The adjustments range from decrease of $5.68 in Area 4 to an increase of $14.12 in Area 1. Moving on to our drop box rates, the most common drop box haul service is 20 to 29-yard drop boxes, and they're being presented on the screen. The adjustments range from a $10.13 decrease in Area 4 to a $24.39 increase in Area 1. The staff recommends conducting a public hearing and considering approving the proposed franchise maximum rates for refuse collection services in franchise areas 1, 2, 3, and 4. If approved, these rates will be effective on July 1st, 2023. Before I open it up to questions to the board, I do want to let you know that our department staff are currently exploring potential financial assistance options for our lower income residents in the county. We know the recycling rules have increased costs significantly, and that's a heavy burden for people to shoulder, so we're trying to line up funding to get a permanent program in place for that.
Well, that's deeply appreciated. Thank you so much for those comments and your guys' exploration of those possibilities. Do any board members have any comments or questions? Supervisor Condit.
Thank you, Chairman. Will Fidelis, thank you for the presentation. Just for the people out there, could you explain the SB 1383 exempt area?
Yeah, the SB 1383 exempt area is have low population density waivers. The lines are determined by census tracts, which the state agencies decide to use a federal line for the county to implement our regulations on. And so those folks who are in the exempt areas don't have to follow the same recycling rules with the organics recycling and the CRV recycling.
Thank you.
Seeing no further questions or comments, I will open up to the public. Do any members of the public wish to comment on this item? Okay, seeing none, I will bring it back to the board.
Second.
We have a motion by Supervisor Graywall, second by Supervisor Chiesa. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, passes unanimously 5-0. All right, we'll be moving on to 8.2, which is a PowerPoint presentation by CEO Hayes and team, and it's the public hearing to consider the adoption of the recommended proposed budget, budget year 2024, and it is a 4/5 vote required. CEO Hayes.
Okay, thank you very much. I just have a couple of brief opening remarks while we're pulling up our presentation for you this evening. I know it sounds a little repetitive for those of you who have been to our budget hearings in the past, but one of the things that's very important for us to always acknowledge is that our budget process always starts and ends with an evaluation of our long-term needs here in Stanislaus County. Evaluating our financial security on a long-term basis really does form the foundation of all of the recommendations that are before you, not just in this budget, but past budgets and future budgets as well. This budget is no exemption to that. We're focused on multi-year sustainability of the county's resources. We're particularly in this budget, we've adopted a 2-year budget model. So what you see us doing in this budget is entering the second year of a 2-year model, and there are relatively few changes in this second year. We do project out a spending plan at the beginning of a 2-year cycle, so this budget really is about adjusting for that spending plan, as well as identifying potential needs and improvements and service levels that would not require additional general fund support. We reserve consideration for additional general fund support at our adopted budget, which will come in the month of September, and that'll provide us a better opportunity to look at what our resources look like, considering we will have closed our financial books on the current fiscal year. We'll update our revenue projections, and again, do another version of that long-term sustainable financial model. Once that's all done, we'll be back before you in September with what we call our adopted budget, or what is really the more comprehensive budget presentation and review for the rest of that fiscal year. Before we jump into tonight's presentation, I always want to thank the entire team that puts these budgets together. First, I actually want to thank the Board of Supervisors here, and Buck is sitting here right now, but they go through extensive budget briefings in every single one of these cycles, and they're always very generous with their time, not just their time, but they lend a lot of thought and opinion as we share information with them that then helps us shape the presentation and the document that you see before you this evening. So I want to start by sharing my appreciation for the board for your continued support to help guide us in our budget recommendations. And then from there, the entire Chief Executive Office team that puts together a whole lot of information from every single county department, all the department heads, many of whom are here with us this evening, and your respective budget staffs. Thank you all very much for once again putting together a great budget product for us to be able to bring and present to the Board of Supervisors with any input and consideration that they may have this evening. So I'm going to go ahead, and at this point, I think I'm passing it over to Jewel, and I also do want to recognize that, like most other budget cycles, we do have some department heads that are going to join us in tonight's presentation as well, because we like to lend that perspective directly from our department leadership. So it's all yours. This is our Deputy Executive Officer, Jewel Moore. Thank you.
Thank you, Jody. So to get started, on screen is a table that identifies the 2023 adopted budget and the 2024 spending plan for comparison against the 2024 proposed budget. The 2024 spending plan was developed and approved alongside the 2023 adopted budget using standard escalation factors adjusted for one-time expenses to project costs and spending resources for budget year 2024, year 2 of the current 2-year budget period. Adjustments to the spending plan at proposed budget account for changes made subsequent to its approval last September and accommodate updated information in support of current service levels with existing allocated positions, inclusive of cost of doing business increases. These adjustments total $95 million, representing a 6.3% increase over the 2024 spending plan. The result of these adjustments is a 2024 proposed budget totaling $1.61 billion, a decrease of 2.3% from the 2023 adopted budget. The 2024 proposed budget is funded by $1.21 billion in estimated revenue, $74 million in the use of fund balance and retained earnings, and a general fund contribution or net county cost of $328.3 million. The chart on screen identifies the actual annual discretionary revenue received from fiscal year 2015 through fiscal year 2022, along with projections for the current fiscal year and estimates for the 2024 proposed budget. Actual annual revenue received through fiscal year 2022 averaged 5.4% growth year over year. Discretionary revenue represents funds that are available for programs at the discretion of the board, the majority of which are used to support public safety, government-related services, and to meet mandated match requirements that leverage revenue for federal and state-supported programs. The recommended 2024 proposed budget includes discretionary revenue estimated at $290.5 million, a small net decrease of just under $695,000 from that projected in the 2024 spending plan and a $35,000 decrease from fiscal year 2023 year-end projections. While property tax revenue is projected to grow by 4% in budget year 2024, slowed growth is anticipated in sales tax and Proposition 172 public safety sales tax, making up the small decreases identified now. While slowing, Proposition 172 public safety sales tax remains at historic levels, with current year estimates at $66.4 million, reduced slightly to $63.7 million in the 2024 proposed budget. Discretionary revenue is continuously monitored throughout the fiscal year, and any updated information will be considered prior to the presentation of the 2024 adopted budget in September based on the latest receipts and trend analysis. For comparison year over year, this chart identifies budgeted appropriations, or costs, across all funds since fiscal year 2018, indicating an average annual increase of 5.6% through the 2023 adopted budget. The 2024 proposed budget totals $1.61 billion, representing again a 2.3% decrease from the 2023 adopted budget. This is partially attributed to the removal of one-time costs from the prior year. Additionally, the proposed budget does not fully account for salary and benefit increases per current labor agreements and ongoing impacts from the county's employee recruitment and retention strategy implemented last August. These will be addressed fully along with updated cost allocation plan estimates in the 2024 adopted budget in September. Similar to the previous slide, this chart depicts historical budget appropriations, but this time for the general fund only, averaging 8.8% annual growth through the 2023 adopted budget. The significant increase that you see in the 2023 adopted budget is attributed to the implementation of one-time and ongoing support from the general fund for the Building Community Services Investment, Employee Recruitment and Retention Strategy, and Building Community Infrastructure Fund. The 2024 proposed budget for the general fund totals $477.5 million and includes the Year 2 funding commitment for the Building Community Services Investment in support of parks, libraries, and county facilities. The same impacts noted for all funds account for the 4.4% decrease from the prior year. Again, updates in the 2024 adopted budget will fully incorporate salary, benefits, and cost allocation plan charges across the general fund and all funds. As Jody mentioned earlier, annual budget analysis is completed with the attention to the multi-year general fund long-range model, which provides guidance for financial decisions. The long-range model has been completed through budget year 2028. Discretionary revenue is projected to grow at an average 2.4% over the next 4 years. Property tax revenue is anticipated to remain stable for the next few years at 4%, with projections dropping slightly in the following 2 years. And sales tax revenue is expected to remain flat with a forecasted 3% growth over the next several years. The chart on screen provides a visual depiction of the expenditures, identified in dark green, and the funding sources in light green for the prior 2 fiscal years' actuals, the 2023 third quarter year-end projections, 2024 proposed budget, and the 4 future budget years that make up the preliminary long-range model for budget year 2024. Moving from left to right, you can see that prior years typically end with revenue sources that surpass expenditures, with an exception seen in fiscal year 2022 due to the post-close accounting entry to acknowledge fair market value changes. The lines connect briefly over the 2023 third quarter projections and the 2024 proposed budget, representing balanced budgeting. In the 4 out years on the right, you begin to see the separation between available funding and projected expenditures that require planning and the use of one-time funding to bridge the difference. Here, the recommended 2024 proposed budget of $1.61 billion is displayed by board priority area. Departments supporting a healthy community make up the largest portion of the budget at 41%. Those departments delivering efficient public services make up 20.7%, of which 64% represents various administrative budgets that support the entire organization. Closely followed by those supporting a strong and safe community at 20.5%, and enhancing community infrastructure at 14.5%. Departments developing a high-performing economy and promoting lifelong learning make up the remainder of the county budget at 1.9% and 1.4% respectively. To describe the budget in more detail, especially the recommendations that make up the recommended 2024 proposed budget, we will walk through each of these priority areas this evening. Kelly Cavello will get us started beginning with the supporting a strong and safe community priority.
The 2024 proposed budget for those departments supporting a strong and safe community totals $330.5 million, a $12.6 million increase over the 2024 spending plan. This increase is funded by $2.7 million in estimated revenue, the use of $4.2 million in department fund balance, and $5.7 million in net county cost. There are no adjustments to staffing. The district attorney includes technical adjustments to right-size recurring grants, including an increase in net county costs to reflect the needed county match for the Violence Against Women grant. Probation includes various technical adjustments to recognize ongoing budget adjustments made after the spending plan was established, as well as adjustments to replace vehicles, information technology equipment, and to renew software license agreements. Probation adjustments are also recommended to support pretrial court services to conduct pretrial risk assessments and pretrial monitoring. Included in this recommendation is the purchase and upfitting of a mobile outreach vehicle that will be used to meet clients where they live, allowing them to check in with pretrial staff, attend court remotely, and obtain referrals to appropriate services. Adjustments recommended for the sheriff include adjustments to support the replacement of vehicles, information technology equipment, reappropriating multiple grants, and support for local fire districts per the county's Proposition 172 policy. I would like to now invite Chief Deputy Public Defender Reed Wagner to the podium to provide highlights for the Public Defender's Office.
Members of the board, Chairman Condit, CEO Hayes, and County Council Bowes. It's an exciting time to be a public defender in Stanislaus County. In the last year, this board has bore witness to a new paradigm of indigent defense coming to fruition in Stanislaus County. 2 years ago, the public defender was in the unfortunate business of saying, "I'm sorry, but we can't help you with that." Every time you say that, you feel like you're letting our entire community down. But times change. Under Ms. Jennison's leadership, we strive to never utter those 9 words to our current clients, former clients, or our future clients. In 2022, Chairman Withrow highlighted the success of our new client support program during the State of the County address. This excellent program allows our clients to navigate services, many offered by other county departments, including behavioral health, during the pendency of their cases, a time when they're most vulnerable and open to help. We can now help our current clients with that. Earlier this month, this board heard all about another exciting new program inspired by Homeboy using CCP funds. This soon-to-be-launched program will allow our former clients, amongst others, to navigate services and get the support they need for successful reentry. We can now help our former clients with that. Now I want to talk about our plan for that last group, our future clients. The department sought and was awarded in a competitive process a $2.145 million Edward Brines JAG grant to expand our services to those who find themselves in the unfortunate position of entering the criminal legal system. Today on the consent calendar, the board accepted that grant. As public defenders, we often find that we are the second touch of county interaction, arrest, and then us. That puts us in a prime position to assist the county's most vulnerable into services at a key inflection point in their lives. With this grant, we can now help our future clients with that. And as much fun as it would be for me to stand up here and give Ms. Jennison all the credit, it might even go in my review, this isn't a solitary act by this department. This is the product of an immense amount of collaboration between the public defender, the sheriff, district attorney, behavioral health. This grant includes 5 positions for our office, but also includes funds for the sheriff to custodial overtime for people being in the jail working with people. Where else but in Stanislaus County do you see the sheriff and public defender on a board item together or in a grant together? So to understand how exceptional this is to helping our clients and to reducing recidivism and increasing public safety, let's talk for a moment about what happens today. Down on Hackett, when someone is arrested and booked into the Public Safety Center. When I think of the booking area at the Public Safety Center, 3 words come to mind. It's cold, it's loud, and it's sparse. Our clients are taken to jail in the back of a police car after the traumatic experience of what is likely the worst day of their life. It's a time of great uncertainty. They're given a booking number, they're processed into the jail. They don't know what they're going to be charged with. They have no one to turn to for support, and they're truly alone. After 72 hours, they're taken to arraignment, and that's when they first meet a public defender. They find out what they're charged with, and they go from an information vacuum to an information overload. After that brief court appearance, another 4 days go by. They're back in court. This time they have police reports, discovery, prosecutor's first offer. It's at this hearing where needs are first assessed, mental health referrals are made and negotiations begin. That's 7 days of wasted time, if you're counting. 7 days of uncertainty, and 7 days where no matter what services the client was receiving from behavioral health, from other agencies, they're interrupted. But here in Stanislaus County, we have those great relationships that allow us to put an item together with the sheriff, to work with behavioral health. So let's fix that vacuum, and that's what we're doing now. This grant offers us a path to leverage those relationships toward building a community that is better, a shared goal. Think about it, you're in that cold, dark jail, the world is whizzing by you, and a client support specialist comes up to you and says, "Hey, how are you doing? I'm from the Public Defender's Office. We're here for you. What can we do to help?" Instead of saying, "We can't help you with that," we're being proactive, and we're asking how we can best help. And what follows that is a period of high activity, cooperation between departments, and meaningful work to help our community. We have those 7 days back. In that time, we can get someone assessed by behavioral health. We can connect with the sheriff's medical staff. We can proactively reach out to the district attorney to line cases up for mental health court, diversion, or other services. Social workers can begin their vital work to set clients up for success, not at the conclusion of their case when we're done, but immediately. Public defender staff can contact clients' jobs, family members who are worried, start investigations, gather video, and get information vital to assessing pretrial custody. So what do we get from all this? It feels great, but what do we actually get? Well, it works. It improves all of our outcomes. When a public defender has all the background information gathered by this early representation program, not only are they better equipped to identify cases meeting our expanding mental health court's criteria, but they're able to present their clients to the court and other justice partners as the humans that they are. That results in more just outcomes and gets clients quickly connected with the services they need to stay out of the criminal legal system in the future. It increases public safety by reducing recidivism. In short, this early representation program at the Public Defender's Office makes Stanislaus County a safer, more caring community where each person matters. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Reed. The 2024 proposed budget for those departments supporting a healthy community totals $660.4 million, a $22.7 million increase over the 2024 spending plan. This increase is funded by $14.6 million in estimated revenue, the use of $8.5 million in department fund balance, creating a $353,160 benefit to net county cost. Staffing for the priority will increase by a net of 30 positions, as noted in the following slide. Recommendations for Aging and Veteran Services include technical adjustments to reappropriate grants previously approved by the board. Recommendations also include using fund balance to support the cost of new office furniture and 2 replacement vehicles to support the multi-purpose senior services program and to deliver senior meals. The state is providing historic levels of support to county behavioral health agencies through several funding opportunities. However, the increase in funding comes with several new mandates that Behavioral Health and Recovery Services, BHRS, must implement. The California Department of Healthcare Services is implementing the California Advancing and Innovating Medi-Cal, or CalAIM, which is a long-term commitment to transforming and strengthening Medi-Cal, offering a more coordinated and person-centered approach to healthcare. BHRS serves as the county mental health plan and drug Medi-Cal organized delivery system plan, both of which have new CalAIM standards and mandates around service access, service delivery, and care coordination. Therefore, it is recommended to add 16 new positions to support CalAIM standards and mandates. In addition, a new electronic health record system is needed to support the implementation of payment reform required under CalAIM. To support expanded family, peer, and community support services, 4 new positions are being added to address caseload capacity and housing supportive services. The Mental Health Services Act stakeholder community has identified the need to increase prevention and early intervention services in unserved and underserved areas in the county. Therefore, it is recommended to add one new position to expand education and outreach. To address recruitment and retention challenges across the department, BHRS is establishing an education loan repayment program, an internship program, and a comprehensive workforce development and training plan. To support these efforts, a net of 5 new positions are recommended. One new position is being added to provide substance abuse block grant services, including facilitation and coordination of substance use disorder prevention outreach to the community. This position will also perform data analysis and outcome measurement with a heavy focus on data around drug overdose and poisoning deaths while working in conjunction with the Stanislaus County Coroner's Office and the Health Service Agency epidemiologists. BHRS will be leasing 6 vehicles to support their IT division, workforce development and training, to replace a vehicle for an adult behavioral health services team, and for use by the Community Crisis Mobile Unit to respond to community members experiencing behavioral health crisis and to support law enforcement. A net of 1 new position is also being recommended to support quality outpatient treatment and expand mobile crisis services. Lastly, in January of 2023, the board approved utilizing the campus located at 800 Scenic Drive for a one-stop shop for support services for BHRS clients, which requires several site improvements to make the campus functional at a cost of $3 million. The Department of Child Support Services is adding 1 new staff service analyst position for staff training and development to assist with retention and recruitment efforts, which will be offset by the deletion of 1 account clerk 3. Recommendations for the Community Services Agency include technical adjustments to reclassify various positions. And recommendations for the Health Services Agency include technical adjustments to reappropriate grants previously approved by the board, as well as 2 new grants that will support public health education and a public health computer upgrade project. A net of 2 new positions is being added to HSA to support administration and IT divisions and to support the agency's initiatives to bring health equity to the entire agency by working collaboratively with all department managers and community partners. The impending demolition of Building 4 on the 800 Scenic Drive campus requires alternative storage arrangements for items currently housed in the building. In addition, the Paradise Medical Office and the Family Practice Health Center buildings will be utilized to ensure continuity of services, both of which are in need of repairs and maintenance to accommodate service relocation. Finally, 1 emergency response truck is recommended to transport emergency supplies, which will be fully reimbursed under the Public Health Emergency Preparedness Grant and Office of Emergency Services Homeland Security Grant. So with that, I would like to now invite Tony Vartan, the Director of BHRS, to the podium to provide department highlights.
Good evening, Chairman Condon, members of the board, CEO Hayes, and County Council Bose. Thank you, Kelly, for the highlights of information. Really, my partner, my colleague, Reed from Public Defender's Office, talked about collaboration, talked about partnership, and that's what we're all about. We're about building partnerships and collaboration to serve people, because all of us are here to serve individuals, to serve our communities. We're not here just to do a job. We're not here to say we work for the county or so-and-so department. It is about people. At the end of the day, it's about how we serve people and which one of those people we don't reach and serve. We don't want to leave anybody behind. We do not want to see individuals having a need that it's not touched by any of our departments. That's why we do a strong collaboration. When we look at the great need in individuals who end up in our justice system, behavioral health partnership with the public defender and the DA's office and the sheriff's department and our law enforcement agencies comes to mind. It is all of us working together to make sure that we divert individuals away from the justice systems into treatment for those who truly need treatment to be delivered to them ahead of time. So these partnerships are very valuable. I just wanted to really emphasize that because Our mission speaks to that partnership. Our focus is that partnership. The service is very valuable, and without that service, we really are not able to do our job as behavioral health providers. And so, before you, you see in this budget a lot of requests from behavioral health services. That is because we are in a public emergency when it comes to behavioral health. We cannot turn ourselves to the side and say it doesn't exist. It does. It does at every sector. And we have recognized that here in our county more than a lot of other people who have in other areas of the state. That's why we stepped ahead forward and became one of the first cohorts in Care Court. That's why we did collaboration to redesign our referral services through our courts, because we felt that that partnership needed to be more strengthened and given faster access to those individuals who need the service. That's why we stepped up together with those justice partners to look at overall diversion from state hospitals. That's why we looked at how can we put together mobile crisis teams that will meet the mandate of 24/7 this December, but also will touch those areas in our county that are underserved. That is a heavy lift. We know that. But we have to strive for the best in order to at least come up with okay if that's all we're going to be ending up with. Putting our one-stop shop services was very important. That is something that it gives our consumers a foundation area, a place that they are used to, a place that they know and they have gone to since 1972. And so these are the steps that matter. Our peer support certification, bringing and continuing to give expertise to our peers, ensuring that they have additional skill sets to help their own peers ahead of time, build that trust. It is important for us. Expansion of housing, the continuum of housing. That is something the board has supported ongoing basis and has always encouraged our partnerships with our cities and with other partners to expand housing. That's why we see as behavioral health services, our housing expansion this year has really surpassed a lot of other previous years. And the idea, the vision of our CEO about the Substance Use Disorder Center, that's something that was an idea but was put together to work, to design, to come up with a product that was presented to you. All the work that our prevention staff, promotorists, our staff from different sectors, our mental health and substance use prevention do in our communities with all the townhouses, all the meetings in the schools, all the sectors in different areas and agencies that they reach to educate the public about prevention on those areas. It is important. It is important to see that we can together get through the fentanyl and opioid crisis not only in our community, but in our country. And we as behavioral health workers, we as partners from different sectors, we work hand in hand through our opioid coalition to do this work. Partnerships with other counties around us, with 2 counties, Merced and San Joaquin, has made it possible for us to work on a children's crisis continuum project. That is something that will bring together a 10-acre continuum of care and crisis levels in our county. And we will be a county model to be presenting that to other counties in the state. And all of these are highlights of some of the initiatives that we work in behavioral health on an ongoing basis. And we are hoping that we pull a majority of these together because a lot of them have deadlines of July 1st or October or December. We cannot do any of that alone, and we appreciate our community, our partners, as well as this board for all the support that you have given us and all the resources to do this. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tony. I'd like to invite Patrick Kavanaugh up to the podium.
Hi, good evening. I'll be going through the next handful of, or three board priorities. In the 2024 proposed budget for those departments developing a high-performing economy, the budget totals $30 million, a $309,000 increase over the 2024 spending plan. This increase is funded by $309,000 in net county cost, and there are no adjustments to staffing. The totality of these adjustments can be attributed to the agricultural commissioner and are for a technical adjustment, increasing appropriations to account for an agricultural inspector 4 position that was approved with the 2023 adopted budget, as well as funding the replacement of 6 vehicles. Sorry, let me get this adjusted a little bit better. The 2024 proposed budget for the department promoting lifelong learning totals $22.7 million, an $8 million increase over the 2024 spending plan. This increase is funded by $1.1 million in estimated revenue and $3.4 million in fund balance, and along with $3.5 million in net county costs. There are no adjustments to staffing. For the library, it is recommended to increase appropriations by $7 million in order to budget year 2 and rebudget year 1 funding for building community service investment projects. The library is in the process of obtaining architectural designs and cost estimates to support multiple BCSI facility projects throughout the county. In addition, adjustments are recommended to support software and equipment needs, including network infrastructure and self-check kiosks. The 2024 proposed budget for departments enhancing community infrastructure totals $234.6 million, a $26.5 million increase over the 2024 spending plan. This increase is funded by $18.9 million in estimated revenue, $538,690 in fund balance retained earnings, and $7.1 million in net county cost. In addition, there's an increase in 4 positions recommended that will be described on the next slide. In environmental resources, a $150,000 increase in appropriations is recommended to build a complete customer database for a comprehensive software solution to address requirements of Senate Bill 1383. In addition, it is recommended to add a landfill lead worker position and a landfill equipment operator 1-2 to support operations at the Fink Road landfill. It is also recommended to replace a 4x4 truck at the Fink Road landfill. In Parks and Recreation, a $6 million increase is recommended to reallocate year 1 and allocate year 2 building community service investment funding. Also, a $3.9 million increase is recommended to recognize state-specified grant funding and Proposition 68 per capita grant funding that will go towards various parks projects. Additionally, recommended adjustments also includes $241,000 to replace 4 vehicles. Planning and Community Development has several technical adjustments recommended to adjust estimated revenue and appropriations related to grant-funded programs in the department's housings programs and special revenue grant budgets. It is also recommended to add 1 building inspector 1-2 to support an increased workload and backlog, as well as 1 staff service analyst to support the chief building official with complex cases assisting customers and backlog. And then the Department of Public Works has various adjustments recommended. The largest is an increase of $9 million for the right-of-way phase for North County Corridor Phase 1. Adjustments are also needed to fund costs for a 1-person patcher for various projects at the sign shop and Morgan Road office building, as well as to right-size costs in multiple budget units. And with that, I would now like to invite the Director of Parks and Recreation, Tara Chumley, to the podium to share some highlights of Parks and Rec.
Good evening. Go ahead and go to the next slide. So in the first year of the park enhancement projects using the Building Community Services Investment Funding, we focused on enhanced tree trimming activities in our parks, and we'll continue these activities in the next cycle. And as you can see on the screen, we've purchased some new amenities that include the concrete benches, picnic tables, and fire pits, along with some swing trash cans, and this improves staff efficiency in maintaining our parks. We currently have 2 park improvement projects nearing completion and have made needed repairs throughout our community and neighborhood parks to include basketball courts, slide repairs, restrooms. And after the summer season, we will be refurbishing the top pool play area at the Empire Pool. We've added new customer-friendly regional park signs that reminds our visitors of our basic park rules to enjoying their stay and remember to be courteous. The sign also includes QR codes that takes visitors to our website for the list of all of our park rules and a quick customer survey about their experience. We're currently evaluating our parks ordinance, and once amended, we will be posting community and neighborhood park signs to remind our visitors of our park hours and various other rules. In the new fiscal year, we will be doing concrete work to place the new concrete picnic tables and improve ADA accessibility pathways to the new amenities. We are also working on security camera and lighting upgrades. We currently have an RFP open for a facilities assessment that will evaluate all park facilities and related amenities to provide us with a planning document as we continue to move forward in the direction of deferred maintenance. So, if I have learned anything in my first year of delivering projects, it's to be patient. Project resources are scarce. Our contracted architects and contractors have mile-long lists of county projects that need to be delivered. And although the contractors take care of construction, it literally takes a village of county staff to oversee the project and continue to lead it to completion. Those resources are just as strained. This year, we've been faced with months of rain delays as well as significant delivery delays in materials, and I bet you didn't know light poles are our newest scarce resource. Additionally, costs have increased significantly. The California Construction Cost Index showed a 9.3% increase over the prior year of 2022, and this is over an already increase of 13.4% in 2021. Parks and Recreation is very grateful for the support of our county departments that assist and guide us to project completion. I can give you an example of it. Took an on-site meeting with the Director of Public Works, GSA, and myself, along with our teams, to address project impacts of a park improvement project and bike path project at the same location. And as I said before, it takes a village. And I am so honored to work with county staff that share a passion to deliver these projects to our community. In closing, after our unfortunate play delay, I'm happy to share that Burbank Paradise Park opening will occur next week, for reals this time, Terry, on June 28th with a ribbon cutting event at 10 a.m. Many thanks to the GSA team for working beside us to get the park open for the community to come out and play. Thank you.
Thank you, Tara. So wrapping up our discussion on priority adjustments, the 2024 proposed budget for those departments delivering efficient public services totals $334 million, a $24.8 million increase over the 2024 spending plan. This increase is funded by $618,996 in estimated revenue, the use of $7.3 million in fund balance, and $16.8 million in net county cost. While there are adjustments to staffing in this priority, the changes do not result in an overall net impact. There are a variety of technical adjustments included in the proposed budget for departments within this priority area. Recommended adjustments of note are highlighted on screen. The assessor will reappropriate prior year funding to continue with a multi-year county remodel project and security upgrades to align with other similar projects planned at 10th Street Place. One block budgeted manager 123 will be transferred into the Chief Executive Office Human Relations Division from the General Services Agency to support the Department Support Unit, or DSU, and continue to serve as an embedded manager. For the Clerk Recorder, adjustments will support Help America Vote Act or HAVA grant-funded purchases of election-related equipment and enhanced access to election services. Additionally, the Department's Modernization Division will proceed with legally mandated projects, including the Document Imaging Project, Assembly Bill 1466 Restricted Covenant Redaction, and electronic recording or e-recording commencement using fund balance. Over 25 individual budgets make up county operations. The proposed budget includes adjustments to fund ongoing project costs, including those for engineering, legal, financial, and security services for the Crows Landing Industrial Business Park, provide continued support for the legislative maintenance of effort for the county court funding, and accommodate updated costs in Capital Improvement Financing Authority, Criminal Justice Facilities Fund, DNA Identification Fund Prop 69, and General Liability, along with various technical adjustments benefiting the organization as a whole. Adjustments for the General Services Agency include the allocation of Year 2 Building Community Services Investment Funding in support of county facilities, the replacement of several motor pool vehicles, and right-size costs for fuel, health coverage, mailroom postage, and inflation of goods and services. And as noted previously, one block budgeted manager 123 will transfer out of the department into CEO Human Relations. Finally, one collector position will be added to the Treasurer Tax Collector Revenue Recovery Division to assist with the collection of past due debt on behalf of client departments and agencies within the county. This addition is being offset by the deletion of one vacant Account Clerk 3 position and will eliminate the need for part-time extra help, resulting in no net change to the department's position allocation. Authorized positions as of the 2023 third quarter financial report totaled 4,786 positions. The 2023 first quarter financial report included the addition of one Associate Director of ITC position that will become effective on July 1, 2023. Recommendations included in the 2024 proposed budget will result in the addition of 34 positions. If approved as recommended, authorized positions will total 4,821. It's important to note that this total does not include any position adjustments that may result from items on this evening's board agenda by separate action. This line chart provides a comparison of the number of full-time allocated positions, the top line denoted in light green, and the number of full-time employees, shown in dark green, with the vacancy rate identified by percentage dating back to July 1, 2012. The recommended 2024 proposed budget allocation of 4,821 has been added to show the continued growth of position allocations to meet resource needs across the organization, primarily in response to mandated programs and increased services provided to the community. The widening gap between the two lines indicates the increasing vacancy rate that has occurred over time. On May 1, 2023, there's a special notation on the screen, the vacancy rate was 16%, an improvement over the prior year. If the 2024 proposed budget is approved as recommended, the vacancy rate will immediately increase to 16.6% as these positions will be vacant upon approval. The county's employee recruitment and retention strategy was approved on August 16, 2022. And included an immediate 5% base wage increase and implementation of the Employee Choice Bonus Plan to ensure the county's ability to recruit the best qualified candidates to fill vacant positions and to retain existing employees who hold vital knowledge and experience that contribute to the success of the county. The experienced reduction in vacancy rate provides preliminary support for the strategy's effectiveness in stabilizing the county workforce. If you would like to know more about the 2024 proposed budget, you can find the electronic version online at stancounty.com/budget. Alternately, you can go to the Stanislaus County main webpage at stancounty.com, scroll towards the bottom of the screen, and click on the piggy bank to find the 2024 proposed budget, as well as budgets from prior periods. We have 7 staff recommendations for your consideration this evening. Number 1, accept the recommended proposed budget for budget year 2024, year 2 of the budget period ending June 30, 2024, from the Chief Executive Officer. 2, conduct the scheduled public hearing to receive public comment and input on the proposed budget for budget year 2024. 3, direct and approve any changes the Board of Supervisors chooses to make and then adopt the 2024 proposed budget. 4, authorize the Chief Executive Officer and Auditor Controller to make any necessary technical adjustments required to implement the approved proposed budget. 5, amend the salary and position allocation resolution to reflect the recommended changes for the 2024 proposed budget as outlined in the staffing impact section of the report and detailed in attachment 2 to the report to become effective at the start of the first full pay period on or after July 1, 2023, unless otherwise noted. Number 6, approve contracts and/or agreements listed in attachment 3 in cumulative amounts of $200,000 or greater since July 1, 2021, and authorize the General Services Agency Director, Purchasing Agent, or previously approved department head to sign. And finally, 7, direct the Chief Executive Officer to prepare the recommended 2024 adopted budget for the budget period ending on June 30, 2024, and set the public hearing for consideration of the adopted budget on September 26, 2023. So this completes our 2024 proposed budget presentation. Chief Executive Office budget team and county department staff are available to answer any questions you may have.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for the presentation. Do any members of the board have any comments or questions? Okay, seeing none, we will open it up to the public. Do any members of the public wish to comment on this item? Okay, seeing none, we will bring it back to the board for action.
Statement. I got to make the statement.
Go ahead.
It seems like we don't have any questions, but I want everyone out and the listening public, we have three-hour individual sessions. We go over line by line. Our questions are answered. And I just don't want it to think we're disengaged because we're extremely engaged, but we've been through this multiple times already. So appreciate staff, all your time and effort. Again, we make good decisions based on the great information that you give us.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'll just jump on. Same thing Vito said. Just want to thank Jewel and Kelly for everything you've done. And then everybody who came up and presented, Reed and Tony and Patrick and Tara. Thank you guys for your presentations. Very good. It's great to see. I guess Vito and I have lived through kind of the hell of no money, laying everybody off. We always talk about this. And it's just been great, the ride that we've had the last few years. And I'm not so sure it's going to continue. Something's got to give at some point. But it's great how we just in our county, we don't just kind of budget to cover the cost of people's issues. We kind of budget to try to figure out how to solve their issues and prevent their issues. And it's just neat to see. It's just a good feeling to think that we're not just spending money that we have to spend. We're actually trying to make this a better place all the time. And you guys kind of demonstrated that today as you came up here and talked about your various departments and issues that you're dealing with and things you're doing to try to make things better here. So I just very much appreciative of all the staff, everybody, all the hard work they do to try to make this a better place. It's great to see. We had Graham here from CSAC, but sometimes I just think that the hell with the state. We're going to figure it out here on our own, And that's what you guys are doing. You're just kind of figuring things out here on your own. So thank you very much for all you're doing.
Please acknowledge that Graham is not the state of California.
No, I know that. I know. He's not, but he's here to represent what's going on in all the counties. And nothing against Graham. He's a great guy doing good stuff. But we're going to figure this out on our own. I thank you guys for doing that.
All right, I will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
I'm gonna give that to Supervisor Condit. So we have a motion by Supervisor Condit, second by Supervisor Graywall. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, passes unanimously, 5-0. Thank you again, wonderful presentation. Thank you. All right, we'll move on to correspondence.
This board has received the correspondence and claims as noted on the agenda.
Acknowledge receipt of correspondence and refer as recommended on the agenda. All right, Board of Supervisor reports. Do any Board of Supervisors have reports? Okay, I do have just a quick report. We had our 13th community cleanup in District 5 at the Park Lawn community in South Modesto. We filled 13 bins to the brim. So that's roughly 7 tons in trash and debris, and we had a wonderful showing of volunteers in the South Modesto community. So we definitely could not have done it without them, and I know my back certainly appreciates their volunteerism.
Nice work.
So I was definitely sore after that endeavor. All right, we will move on to Legislative Fiscal Management Report by CEO Hayes.
This will be real quick. I think everybody's aware that they're still hammering out a real estate budget in Sacramento. I do want to recognize that as the legislature is still working on hearing some bills, that we've sent letters in opposition again for the following bills. And so I want to get this into the record: AB 460, AB 1337, SB 389, and AB 676, all four dealing with water issues here in California, and we're just advocating on behalf of our locals here as spelled out in our legislative platform. That's all I have for you tonight.
Awesome. Okay, well, I do want to thank Deputy Gingrich for looking over us tonight, and we will go ahead and adjourn at 9:19.